This morning I'm going to be talking about testing severe illness. Almost every step of the way I was always told I could do things I said I couldn't do. And so now I'm trying to revive my DeWalt batteries. So I gotta look at the clock to keep track of how long I'm boosting, reverse boosting to revive my batteries. Shorting out the batteries for 30 seconds. And that should be about 30 seconds. See if it'll take a charge now. So testing severe illness. I was usually always told that I could do things I said I couldn't do. Except for one guy, by chance, for no reason other than he just understood. There's one military vet who just knew. He knew I needed to be treated like a 2-year-old. And I started crying like a 2-year-old when he did, because it was so awesome to have somebody just help me. And so and there's since been one more person I felt really understood. I didn't have to say much of anything, he just knew. Whereas it seems like our survival brain makes us look for the easy road, telling us we think we understand. To expand on that, our brain will there's research that talks about how our brain will use imagination to fill gaps. And I think that's where a lot of we maybe tend to rely on that too much when looking at severe illness. And so I feel there's two guys who understood how much help I needed. They just got it. So for 10 years, I've been trying to figure out how to close the gap so that people struggling with severe illness can just get the help we need. And so So to 2022, I started feeling better, though I really wasn't doing, I still wasn't doing really good, what made me feel I was doing better is I realized I could think more clearly. I could comprehend tasks. I could think, comprehend, track tasks, action tasks. Did I say recollect? Track and action tasks like appointments. I was just starting to do better, though I still can't really track and action appointments, but there's things like that I'm better at. And so 2023 I was feeling better. 2024 I was feeling better, and and then about winter spring 24 I winter spring 24 I thought of doing a test for dementia, and in spring 24 I failed the test for dementia, and that's also when I didn't know how to shut my truck off. I'd turn the key and the engine would shut off, but the power was still on, and I couldn't get anybody to help me. Summer 24 is when I moved into this place, and I didn't know how to turn off the lamp. Or on. I couldn't turn it on. So I was now I'd forgotten about the dementia test for cognition until this weekend, yesterday or this morning. This morning I thought of the dementia test, so I went and found one online. I completed one as the current year, 2025, fall 2025, and I would say I would pass. I didn't complete the test and I didn't grade it, but I feel I would pass the dementia test today, though I maintain I still need that level of help. In the meantime, now I also did the dementia test as though it was 2021, 2022, at a time when I didn't know, on my bad days, because everybody has good days and bad days. On my bad days, most of the time, I didn't know my name, date of birth, service number. I couldn't make change, and couldn't make change, and well, see, I'm boosting the batteries. I still got to connect this wire. This one shows it's charged, though I doubt that. What I should do is put it on the other charger, just to, by shorting out the batteries, it's supposed to allow the battery to take a charge. Most of these batteries were showing nothing, like it wouldn't take a charge, and it wouldn't so at least maybe the battery is revived and it's full, though I doubt it. I feel I'm gonna have to I don't know if I got a power tool I could test it on. I only have, since yesterday, since I started this last night, I have one battery I've revived. 2 are reluctant. And now I'm on this one that looks like it's charged, and I'm about to test another. Now, so both of these look like they're fully charged. See it, the charger shows it's fully charged, but the battery indicator doesn't show anything, so it still needs some work. I'll continue working on this later. I'm gonna put this battery I'm using to boost or to short circuit the dead batteries. I'm putting it back on the charger so that it's fully charged by the time I get back to this. Now we'll see if I can find some tools. There's a few things I need to bring to my camper. 2 bags from the truck. So there's a few things from inside my home that I need to let's see if I can move one at a time. I'll put these in my camper for the winter. I'm what's it called? I'm gonna try to move my truck. My camper is not expected to go anywhere. At least in the spring. In the spring, I would like to go camping, but in the meantime, I'll mention a quick thing. We've had bird feed on, we've had chickens on the hood, and they could easily jump over the fence, but they don't. They stay home for the same reasons horses will race home. And so even when the gate is wide open, the chickens will stay home, except the rooster. The rooster tends to venture away, exploring. I just got an idea for my oil tank. Maybe not. Maybe I can. No, I'm looking for a this is not what I'm looking for. My chanter. And I'm supposed to be talking about, oh no, this is not my chanter. What is this? I don't know what this is. This is different microphones, digital voice recorders, remote voice recorders, pens, digital pens, voice recorders, voice recorder, well, this is my chanter to learn the bagpipes. I haven't picked up the bagpipes in 10 years, and I should have started with bad news to say that I can't play the pipes. I look forward to learning the pipes again, and now I've got a surprise. This is an original store-bought crystal radio. It doesn't need any electricity. And I still can't find my, what's it called, handheld selfie stick. Testing severe illness. A year ago, I bought this fifth wheel used. The ceiling was caving, so I built a frame along the floor to take the weight, and part of the frame around the four corners so I could lift the roof. I lifted the roof about 4 inches, and the leak stopped. Now, last fall I didn't get a chance to get on the roof to patch any water leaks from the outside, though I did this fall. I did start on it, and I want to continue doing more of that in the coming weeks. I need some ivory with the hose. high content. I think that's a 2-pounder. I just remembered I'd completely forgot I have shower curtains and I even know where they are, and so I'm gonna need to put them up. That also means I should wash my old shower curtains. I'd completely forgot about the storage. And that's empty. Still trying to look for my DJI. Camera thing, like a selfie stick. Severe illness. So, what's the deal with severe illness? Testing severe illness. I'm gonna say most people tried to tell me what I couldn't do. Refusing what I couldn't. And I'm gonna say therapists did the best they could. Feels like therapists were told to, and they did repeat what they're told. That it's supposed to build confidence in me to make me do things I say I can't do. This is why I'm saying it's important to have an advanced mental health first aid where somebody would easily administer a test for dementia. And this could be done in the field like first aid, except in advanced first aid, they would just more testing could be done later, and in-depth testing. And on that, I'm going to say it's important to consider what, again and again and again, I'm going to mention Chris Voss. Because Chris discovered how to actually really honestly test people who are uncomfortable talking about any subject. that's all lying is it's a sign somebody is uncomfortable talking about a subject. So So you don't have to be I don't know, lying. They could just be uncomfortable. I mean, here's something important. At least seems important to consider. Everybody around the world rather die than be embarrassed. So why in the world would somebody embarrass themselves to the point they rather die when it's just easier to lie? Now, Chris Voss teaches us we can choose to learn different skills, to learn to help people tell the truth. That's right, we can learn to talk in a way to help people tell the truth. So people are more likely to tell the truth if they're not embarrassed. Oh, found it. DJI. I didn't think I'd ever find this again. There we go. There's a prize. See if the battery's still good. I bought this 5 years ago, unused, until today. Or tomorrow, whenever we get the battery charged. So let's do that. Let's move this. Let's put this on top of the other boxes. So testing severe illness. I keep getting distracted talking. So, now that reminds me. One of the tests in dementia is exactly, and it's not just one test, but several questions, is exactly like several questions are like the ADHD questions. And so that's something else I wanted to talk about in severe illness. As I've known, I could see firsthand experience. There's no like second guessing this. I was diagnosed with I was diagnosed with ADHD before going to Afghanistan, and when it came to severe illness, there's no denying it. Schizophrenia is, I've described it this way when I hired my business coach. I told him exactly this, that schizophrenia is like ADHD on crack cocaine. That's how I have, and I'll continue to describe it this way. I've talked about, I completely forgot. Yesterday, or the day before, I did a video on medical alert bracelets for severe illness. I'd completely forgot I had some made. This here note says USB contains medical info, yada yada yada, call ambulance, must call ambulance, Martin Brusso, date of birth 10 Feb 1976. And even today, I still need one, except the USB variants didn't work. I couldn't get on this type. I couldn't get the USB to come out. It quickly broke, and I couldn't get anybody to help me download information. So I needed help to order the USB from Medical Alert. This one is directly from Medical Alert. Though I just realized just now what I should do is look for a different necklace USB where I can do different things. I can have notes written on it, or like a military dog tag, I can have one with certain information inscribed, and another one with a USB stick, both on the same hook loop. So, testing severe illness. Testing severe illness. What do you do if somebody doesn't have a medical alert bracelet? I need somebody to do an advanced first aid and do and even regular first aid should include a test for dementia to assess their cognition to see how if and how much their cognition is reduced, and if they can function at all. Now I did write out a list. It's on this phone, I can't look at it. And so here, Ruby. Different voice recorders for my camera work, filming. Now to charge my see if I can. Might take all day to charge. I've charged it a few times the last few years, though the battery could just be fried, burnt out. I bought this 5 years ago. Never used. It was something I bought to give myself hope, because I didn't have any hope many years. And so now no charge cord. Luckily I've got a few. Now I also want to be on top of this so I can so this doesn't melt or catch fire like many things often do. Many electronics do catch fire when they charge. So luckily it's not winter and it's not frozen. Now, severe illness. I mentioned earlier too that the dementia test does look for ADHD type symptoms. They're not trying to. Their test is, I believe, is accurate. And I might have room for improvement for modification to test for severe illness. So let's walk away from this. I don't even know how to use this thing. Anyway, it's one of those fancy some things like this I could easily buy because it gave me hope. But like, I could easily buy a school bus to live in, and I used to be able to build anything out of anything. And I thought if I bought the school bus, I could save a few bucks and turn it into an RV to live in, because I told everybody I couldn't talk to landlords, but I knew I could go into like hardware stores, so I thought I knew there was many things I couldn't do, but I didn't know what. So in a way, I would say it's a lot like what I might call explorative surgery, where you just dig around until you find something that helps. So I would just try different things. Like I bought a school bus. I thought I could modify it to live in, but I couldn't. I didn't know I couldn't. I just but then as I healed, about a year later, more than a year later, a friend showed me on Facebook Marketplace an RV that was for sale. And that's when I'd healed enough by that point in different ways that I could see that would have been the smarter thing to do. That it would have been the cheaper and easier thing to do. But I didn't. There's lots of things I still didn't understand about severe illness. And the only thing I have to say, harsh on therapists. The only thing therapists could do is argue with me about what I could and couldn't do. I said I didn't need a place, that I needed other things more important than a place to stay. I didn't know what, I just knew I needed more and different supports. And so now I'm thinking my fuse might be blown, because it's not. This one looks good. When I was started shorting these batteries to revive, the black wire was getting hot. Now it's not. And it looks like these fuses are still good. Now I didn't think of just putting this is a battery I've been using to short the rest of them. This is one I've been constantly trying to revive, and it's just not coming back. I've tried it twice. Now I'm gonna try it a third and last time. The battery I just took off the booster is not taking the charge, and so so ADHD, and yeah, it is, the test is appropriate. I think is appropriate for dementia, and and there could be some improvements to modify the test for severe illness, and either this afternoon or tomorrow I'm going to try to give the test to a friend here in town, a homeless guy, and see I feel he would fail. I failed even last year. And so this year I passed. I would feel confident in saying that I passed the dementia test. Now these batteries on the charger would light for about a half second. You'd see the red light kick on for just like that. So that's all it's taken. So I'm not sure what else to do with I got two batteries like this, and I got two that show fully charged, though they're not taking a charge. Maybe I'll leave them on the charger because the batteries are just warm. The old military batteries, radio batteries, I had a comms tech telling me to leave dead batteries on the charger and they'll revive. I've done that with DeWalt batteries 20 years ago, and I would bring them back to life. I was reluctant to try this now the last few years they haven't revived by leaving dead batteries on the charger, so I've been reluctant to do this shorting out of batteries, though. Maybe this battery I used to short the other ones, maybe it's no longer working. So severe illness, I know what I could do. I'll pause, I'll go to my messages, look for a list. I've drafted a list of a few questions to test severe illness, and I'm glad I was reminded of the dementia test. So I'll pause, I'll be back. Let's continue with my draft questions to assess severe illness in a first aid crisis situation where we don't know the state of mind somebody's in. And there are countless, I should do a different video on the false presentations. There's countless things that top of mind. There's a guy I know who's overly polite, and so everybody expects him to like do things that he can't do. There's myself. Everybody all along told me that I was well articulate, or well articulated, that I was very articulate, but that doesn't mean that I could do anything. And so that gives false presentations. Besides that, also important is the survival brain. My favorite example is where no matter anything, and I like to use cows as an example. So cows hide the lameness. So people say we just have to admit that we need help, but it's not that simple, because cows hide the lameness, and it's not just cows. Wolves do it, snakes do it, everybody does it. It's like a survival nature thing. There's a difference between human nature and survival nature, and survival nature applies to every, I'm going to say, I don't know that it's limited to mammals, so I'm going to say to every mammal on Earth, and it probably expands into other creatures. So it's not as simple as expecting somebody to just say they need help, because our brain is wired to hide the lameness. Besides that, there's Buddy who's overly polite. Everybody says I'm well articulate, or very articulate, and it's like, though I keep messing up my words. So assessing someone's important, because just because they're articulate, because they appear fine, and or overly polite, doesn't mean that they can do anything. So these are not in order. I drafted them. This is like my first draft, and over the last week. And this afternoon, I put the complete list together, or partial list. Let's see if not in this. No. So this is a partial list, and I'll explain the rest of the list. And it should start with things like your name, date of birth. Date of birth is a good one. Day of the week. Other obvious things. Because, like, at my worst, and I had good days and I had bad days, but at my worst, on my bad days, I didn't know my name, date of birth. I couldn't subtract 3 from 8. I didn't know what day of the week it was. Years, I didn't know what day of the week it was. But I could keep appointments, and that's another false presentation. Is just because I told my therapist that I couldn't keep appointments, and I needed to keep my appointments at the same time, same day every week, and she agreed. And so she thought that because it's same time, same day, that I can keep appointments, that I know what day of the week it is, and she couldn't understand that I didn't. So I would explain it in that it took all my energy, every ounce, every molecule, all my effort to even track one appointment a week. That's when I didn't know my name, date of birth. I couldn't, and the 3 from 8 is, I think it's important because I was obsessed with 3 from 8 because the answer I usually got was 7, sometimes 9, and I knew it was wrong, but I couldn't get my therapist, I couldn't get anybody to explain to me the answer, or B, why I couldn't subtract 3 from 8. And so now I'm just thinking what I should do in my next appointment with a therapist is exactly go over this list. And so now so the 3 from 8, I knew both answers I usually got was 7 or 9, and I knew both were wrong, and I didn't know what the answer was, and I couldn't, and it was spring 23 before I could subtract 3 from 8. And so because I knew it was should have been so simple, I think is why I was obsessed with it. So that's, I think, also touches on the obsessive compulsive behavior. There's somebody a friend wrote a character reference, and he said, I'm going to sound arrogant now. I will be arrogant and proud and say, and this might be confusing when I say it traumatized me to know that a friend said such nice things about me. He said that a community with more Martin Barussos would be richer for it. And so that led me to having obsessive compulsive behavior, and I couldn't stop reading that letter and or quote or sentence, and I had to read it. I don't know how many thousands of times I read it, just because I couldn't believe that something would have something nice to say about me. So touches a little bit on the severe illness. And so to test somebody first starts with some of the obvious, and the importance of the date of birth is the Edmonton Public Library understands that the homeless cannot remember passwords. I couldn't remember passwords, and I was told I was doing fine. So what the Edmonton Public Library does is they use a person's date of birth as the password to log into a computer to allow the homeless to use a computer. So so it's important to ask things that should be obvious. If a homeless person and or severely ill, if the severely ill can remember their password to access the computer at the Edmonton Public Library, that's a good start. They're not so far gone that they can't remember their date of birth. And I say that when I myself couldn't remember my date of birth. And I say that I've had good and bad days because there was the evolution towards my health deteriorating and the evolution to my health improving. So I don't know how to explain it. I don't know the timelines. I just know that there was a time where I didn't know anything. Well, there was a time where my health deteriorated to the point I didn't know anything, and so on. When my health was deteriorating, I similarly had good and bad days, and at my worst I just didn't know anything, and then recovering I would, on my good days, I would know my name, date of birth, things like that. So now the rest of the list I haven't codified yet. This is just a first draft, though you start with some of the basics like day of the week. A lot of people don't know the day of the week for different reasons, but that's an important one to ask. Also important is, before we even, one of the first things we should know when we're testing severe illness is how to test a liar. Chris Voss, again, I keep quoting Chris Voss. He changes or improves how we test a liar. So it's not top of mind. I'm gonna have to review that. I didn't do a video specifically on that, though. That would be in the notes when I write my book on mental health first aid, or advanced mental health first aid. And that's not what the book is going to be called, but I'll have things like how to test severe illness. And so where this draft is not in order, though it's just some notes and it's not a final draft, and so some things will get moved or deleted or expanded. So muscle spasms or twitching, incontinence, foggy memory, foggy thoughts, blurry vision, anger, sadness, stuttering, hearing things, not hearing things, tuning things out, slurred speech, fears. So fears I've expanded on. I've added outside, public, crowds, friends, best friends, family, late nights, avoiding people, needing liquid courage to go out, effort or difficulty and pain to go out or talk to someone. Other points are unexplained extreme levels of empathy or compassion towards others, and or carelessness towards others. Being able to count money, doing simple math, tracking or doing tasks like appointments. There's one guy I've been studying. He brought up, he mentioned that anybody with PTSD and or likely complex PTSD, they'll often have childlike behavior, and that I agree with. And I'll have to go into details another day, though I feel I had childlike behaviors, and just specifically of my low self-confidence, my complex PTSD or complex PTSI, let's call it PTSI from here on out, my complex PTSI to my low confidence. So just my low confidence as a topic or issue in society. Confidence was so injured that I suffered from complex PTSI. And the I is important to recognize the injury that leads to the post-traumatic stress. Now here's where the rest of the test will be explained in the book, and and it's a test for dementia. The reason that's important is when I was studying all of this, and I didn't just study schizophrenia and severe illness and all of that. I looked at autism and I looked at dementia and other things. And so 2024 is when, about winter, spring 2024 is when I was studying dementia. And at one point I came to understand that it's really one and the same, and the symptoms are near identical. So I found a test for dementia, and I failed the test for dementia for my cognition. So spring 2024, I would have, should have, could have received treatment for dementia. Simply because of my reduced cognition. That's at the same time I didn't know how to turn the power off, the electricity off to my vehicle. Like I did turn the key to turn the motor off, but I didn't know how to turn the key the rest of the way to turn the electricity off. I was constantly killing batteries, constantly having to buy batteries, booster packs, charger packs, charging battery trickle chargers. I bought all kinds of things, wasted all kinds of money because I couldn't get any help to, and I'm gonna blame therapists again. And so now, and I'm reminded I have to, the next time I meet with a therapist, I got to do this dementia, well, not just the dementia test, but I got to finalize this draft along with the dementia test. And so so I think that's I know, yeah, there we go. I can go over some of the dementia test, and it's it includes questions like name, date of birth, how far I got in school, male, female, what's it called? I'm gonna call it race or culture. If I had problems with memory or thinking, or only occasionally. Have you had blood relatives with problems of memory or thinking? Do you have balance problems? Major stroke, mini stroke, depression. Then it gets into, there's a few more questions, and it asks if you can name the dice or the pretzel. There's again a few more questions, and it asks you to draw a box, to copy the box, to name some fruits, to look at this diagram and copy it below, to follow instructions, and then there's more following instructions. And so at my worst, at my worst, I wouldn't have got past the first 4 questions: name, date of birth, day of the week. Yeah. So I couldn't remember passwords, and I couldn't remember my date of birth, so I wouldn't have been able to use a computer at the Edmonton Public Library. And now there's a homeless housing thing in Edmonton, and I was trying to help a friend, and she was actually literally actively walking in circles, talking to herself, and the staff who were there to try to house the homeless or provide services, they were expecting her to choose to ask for help while she's actively walking in circles in front of their eyes. And here's the difference. I was trying to help her get to different places to try to get help, and she's desperate to get better. She has agency. I don't know if she's an extrovert, though I've talked about that in another video. She dumped her boyfriend because he doesn't have any agency. She does. And so just this summer, fall, she dumped him. And so she's doing everything she can to get better. And so I brought her to the police department in Edmonton, and the cop who was there at the desk could see that my friend, she wasn't right. That she could see that she needed a lot of help, and she told me all kinds of, and asked me private information about my friend. And so, and the cop was willing to help. And the only thing the staff at the housing the homeless, this new initiative by the local Alberta government, provincial government, the staff there insisted they couldn't share private information, that they couldn't accept private information from me without her authorization, even though she was like walking in circles talking to herself. So seems to be a disconnect. Now let's go outside while I continue talking about testing severe illness. And earlier I showed I had found this, and maybe you can see there it's charging. It's taking a charge. It's partially charged, and it's not hot, so it's not overheating. So it's should be safe to start using this 5-year-old brand new 5-year-old what's it called? I'll have to come back for some of the stuff. I've got a few things ready to go into winter storage. And then I'm gonna try to go to town if I have time. And maybe I'll grab this filter as well. What I can say is I appreciate having a stick. So, testing severe illness. What else can I add to that? I look forward to testing the list of questions with my friend in town. See how he does. Though he is overly polite, he should not be denied services because why would therapists understand anything? Or psychiatrists, considering they have not lived with the severe illness. Hallucinations, that's just an easy one. But that's not the only marker for severe illness. And I actually I look forward to writing my book. Comment below if you know of somebody who struggled with severe illness. It's amazing how many people tell me they know someone, family, friend. More things to bring out too, so let's do that now. Severe illness. Oh, I know what I'm gonna say. I think on a closing note, good thing I thought of this. How to treat somebody with severe illness. Everybody gets treated the same. There's no special treatment, just different. So, what do I mean by that? Again, I'm going to be harsh and say society seems to expect the listener to have special treatment. It's like the listener is allowed to be offended when in fact we're not allowed to be offended, when in fact the listener should be expected to be offended, expecting to be offended. And so with that, anybody who speaks at all in any way, shape, or form What am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is the skills used in CTR and and is also very much near identical skills Chris Voss teaches, Master Negotiator. Master Negotiator Chris Voss says to use the skills with everyone. And in therapy, they say to use the skills with a client. This skill works with the severely ill in therapy. And Chris Voss teaches use the skills with murdering, torturing psychopath terrorists, as well as the billion-dollar CEO or the mom and pop coffee shop. Everybody gets the same treatment. And so that is, I'm still dancing around the subject. Let's try to get to the point so we can end this on a good note. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the subject. So, I think what's happened is I had the thought, how do you call it, escaping thought, incoming thought that escaped. And so now let's see if I can make myself laugh, to make myself smarter, to make myself remember. Maybe I should look at my notes. Where do I find my notes on? I think I know. Oh, yes. Okay. I remembered before I laughed. But I think that speaks to the effect because I told myself to laugh. And that's exactly what Chris Voss says. Is you don't have to if somebody's angry and you smile at them, the neurochemicals are changing in their brain. You're feeding them good neurochemicals in their brain. So I think what's happened is just because I was thinking of laughing, it fed all the good neurochemicals, made me smarter. So a friend, military vet, special forces vet turned comedian, podcaster, French guy. He he says his brother was never diagnosed, and trying to get a cat out of the house. His brother was never diagnosed, though he's certain his brother struggles with schizophrenia or parts thereof. And so he told me he's tried to reassure his brother, like society tells us to. Okay. Too much. Too much background. Let's see if we can finish the podcast this way. So, he's trying to convince his brother that he's not hearing things, that nobody's spying on him. And now this is exactly what's done with Alzheimer's and dementia, is you don't try to correct them. And the same is true with schizophrenia and severe illness. I'm going to confuse things and say Chris Voss says to do the exact same thing with billion-dollar CEOs and mom and pop coffee shops. So you don't try to tell them that they're wrong about how they feel. Instead, you reassure what they think they feel. If it's Alzheimer's, it might be 14-year-old grandmas on horseback riding to the bush to bring a horse to the loggers so that she could walk back to town, because the loggers needed a horse midwinter. So if that's grandma's reality, that's grandma's reality. You don't try to correct her, because everything in her mind is telling her that's what's happening there and now. By saying something different is only adding to the confusion. Same with dementia, and the same with Alzheimer's. So if they say that there's a gateway to an alien planet in the rock by the curb, that's a gateway. That rock is a gateway to an alien planet in a galaxy far, far away. Now I'm reminded, I'm going to try to stick on topic, but I'm reminded of another friend, schizophrenic, who talks about aliens and goblins and why his mind lives there. But I'll get back to that in a minute. So and it's obvious why his mind lives there. So to continue with how to talk to somebody, how you talk to somebody with Alzheimer's is how you talk with everybody. Same is true with the schizophrenics or anybody on severe illness. And same with severe illness. And so Chris Voss, Master Negotiator, says to do the same thing with everybody. The billion-dollar CEO and mom and pop's coffee shop. So with mom and pop's coffee shop, you tell them what they think. Their brain is telling them that they can't trust you, Mr. Salesman. So why would Mr. Salesman tell them that they're wrong? Instead, Chris says to tell them what they think, exactly like somebody with Alzheimer's or schizophrenia. That's why the skills work with the schizophrenics, because it's rooted in the survival brain. And so mom and pop's coffee shop, they don't trust you. So you tell them exactly what they think. Exactly like grandma, 14-year-old grandma, riding horseback 2 days to bring a horse out to the loggers. That's her reality. It might be altered, the same with the schizophrenic. My friend, the schizophrenic, sees gateway portals to aliens and goblins. So that's the reality. You don't tell him that he's wrong. My friend's friend, he thinks he's being spied on by the government. So you tell them exactly what they think their reality is. They're saying it because they're feeling it. And you can take it one, like grandma, and you can take it one step further with mom and pop's coffee shop. They don't have to say that they don't trust you. The reality is their survival brain is worried about them and their money and their investment in this coffee shop. Their survival brain is telling them to be careful. 3/4 of the brain, in fact. They don't even have to think it. The brain processes anywhere from 10 million to 400 billion bits per second. Their brain, whether they are thinking of it or not, their brain is processing it. Usually at about 20 million bits per second. Their brain is processing 20 million bits per second. About 3/4 of that or more is about fear. They're scared of you, Mr. Salesman. If you tell them what they feel, they'll feel reassured. Like the person with Alzheimer's, dementia, schizophrenia, severe illness. And so the same rule applies with everybody. Everybody gets treated the same way. And you're not allowed to be offended if you're wrong about how they feel. You have to ask yourself why. What do you know about how they feel? Their brain is already processing between prefrontal cortex is about 40 bits per second. And a state of rest, the survival brain in the state of rest, the rest of the brain in a state of rest is about 10 million bits during your sleep, relaxation. Day-to-day average goings on about 20 million bits, and in a state of fear, anxiety, about 400 billion bits per second. So you don't know what's going on in their brain. You could say something stupid and not know it. Why is it that you could think you're being respectful and they think you're being offensive? You don't know what's going on in their brain. You don't know what triggers they got. Countless triggers. And so if you trigger them, that's your fault. How they react, that's up to you. If you ask yourself why, you're making them smarter. Don't ask them. You can see they're mad, sad. If they're crying, I spent countless hours crying, and I had people running away from me because they didn't know what to do with me. Because I was crying tears of joy. They were scared of me because I was crying tears of joy. Because somebody listened to me. Doesn't matter what their reaction is. Ask yourself why. It's that simple. You can see they wear it on their face. They don't have to say or do anything. If you see you did something wrong, apologize. Tell them you did something wrong. Exactly like Alzheimer's, 14-year-old grandma, or mom and pop's coffee shop. Tell them how they feel. And lay it on thick. By telling them how they feel, again, you're reassuring them. It's not just agreeing with 14-year-old grandma riding horseback for 2 days. That's what they're seeing. That's their reality. The same applies with their emotions. If they're mad, sad, angry, exhausted, label it. You'll reassure them. So my friend, talking about ghosts and goblins, lived in the country. He didn't have video games. He read a lot of books. So in schizophrenia, in schizophrenic hallucinations, his mind went to his safe space. That's all that is. Micro-analyzing every word, every action or reaction. Curiosity at the sixth sense. Six levels of curiosity. Analyzing, assessing severe illness requires level 6 curiosity to analyze every aspect of every action or word and their behavior. I'll tell you lots. That's almost like listening, though I would say curiosity really is like imagining. Level 6 curiosity, you're imagining, like, it doesn't matter if you think you understand, you have to see it, like Dr. Jordan Peterson says, like they're telling you the wildest, craziest story like you've never heard before. Like you're listening to every word. That's level 6 curiosity. Except you're not listening to every word. You're analyzing every word. I feel I'm having trouble explaining the difference between level 6 listening and level 6 curiosity. Anyway. So, understanding this craziness of schizophrenia. I got a friend who loves a pool like an addict. You'd swear that behaving like a crack addict, except spending all her money at the pool, because that's her safe space. Anyway, so their behavior might look odd in severe illness, though there's a reason for it. It really makes sense. I'm going to say it feels easy to do this, though I've got a lot of practice. I'd like to think it sounds easy from somebody else's perspective, and that's also why I'm also working on forcing curiosity. And I'm still not convinced how to force others, you, to be curious. I'm trying to develop a question to force you, the listener, to be curious. And I'm still not convinced. I have some different ideas. I've tested some ideas on forced curiosity, though I'm not convinced. Anyway, good news is I think we're closer than we have been